Hi Vikings, it's Hawkins here. Today and tomorrow, we are going to read a text. We are going to do a close read of this text. And then on Friday, we are going to write a paragraph with writing a clear claim and then gathering pieces of evidence and then supporting our evidence with reasoning. We've done this many times before. And after we read the text, we'll talk about the difference of this time versus in previous times. So follow along with me as we read. The Terracotta Army of Ancient China. Emperor Qin. The Qin dynasty only lasted 15 years, from 221 to 206 BCE, but it was an important time in Chinese history. It was a period of unification during which territories surrounding China were brought under Chinese rule. Indeed, the first Qin leader, Qin Shi Huang, also sometimes called Shi Huangdi or Qin Shi Huang, was the first Chinese ruler to be known as emperor. Emperor Qin wanted to live forever. He spent much of his life and resources searching for immortality and the elixir of life. He also spent a huge number of resources building himself the largest single tomb built to a leader in the history of the world. He felt his huge army would protect him and help him to keep his power in the afterlife. He died and was buried in 210 BCE, over 2,000 years ago. Qin's army. The Terracotta Army is a vast collection of terracotta sculptures that was constructed more than 2,000 years ago by the Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Beginning at the age of 13, Emperor Qin ordered the development of a guarded city in his future tomb. He wanted an army of warriors, along with their sturdy horses and sharpened weapons, to protect him in death. In his underground fortress, there were even stables made for the terracotta horses. In addition to the terracotta figures, the tomb was filled with valuable possessions like gold, silver, and jade jewelry. Construction. This construction project was estimated to have lasted 38 years, which is not that long considering the amount of detail put into all 8,000 terracotta figures. The soldiers of the Terracotta Army are life-size statues. They average around 5 feet 11 inches tall, with some soldiers being as tall as 6 foot 7 inches. Despite there being so many statues, no two soldiers are exactly alike. One of the most impressive things about the Terracotta Army is that each warrior's face is unique, conveying its own personality and emotion. There are soldiers of all ages with different ranks, facial features, and hairstyles. Some of the soldiers look calm, while others look angry and ready to fight. The soldiers were even designed with different clothing and armor. Men from the cavalry is soldiers on horses, are dressed different than foot soldiers. Some soldiers don't have any armor. Perhaps they were supposed to be scouts or spies, but that information has been lost to history. As impressive as the soldiers are today, they were likely much more impressive 2,000 years ago. The soldiers were painted to look even more realistic and then covered with a lacquer finish. They also held real weapons such as crossbows, daggers, maces, spears, and swords. To build 8,000 life-size statues must have taken many workers. Archaeologists estimate that over 700,000 craftsmen worked on the project for several years. The bodies of the soldiers were made in an assembly line fashion, with different people making different parts of each body. There were molds for the legs, for the arms, the torsos, and the heads. These pieces were then assembled, and custom features such as ears, mustaches, hair, and weapons were added later. There are between 8 and 10 different face shapes for the soldiers. The different face shapes represent people from different areas of China. The heads were made from molds and then customized and attached to the bodies. The tomb. The tomb is most famous for its large rows of soldiers, but there were plenty of other statues to accompany Emperor Qin in the afterlife. There were 150 life-size cavalry horses and 130 chariots, with 520 horses buried with the army. In the other areas of the tomb, figures of government officials and entertainers have been found. This tomb site was discovered by farmers in 1974, and immediately following this amazing discovery, archaeologists began carefully excavating the tomb. The excavation has been an ongoing process, and archaeologists continue to discover new things. One of the more recent discoveries is the existence of terracotta court performers, including acrobats. And we have some interesting facts about the Terracotta Army. The horses in the army are saddled. This shows that the saddle had been invented by the time of the Qin dynasty. There are 4 main pits that house the army. They are around 21 feet deep. The bronze weapons of the soldiers were found in excellent condition because they were coated with a thin layer of chromium. Chromium is a type of metal, which protected them for thousands of years. Most of the statues were found broken into many pieces, which archaeologists have been carefully putting back together for many years. Terracotta is a common type of hard-baked clay. Once the soldiers were shaped with wet clay, they would have been allowed to dry and then baked in a very hot oven called a kiln so the clay would harden. So we've done our reading. Now let's take a look at terracotta. So I'm sure you've seen terracotta before in these different kinds of pots, right? You've seen these kind of pots before, right? Okay. Now let's take a look at the Terracotta Army. So, like we read in the text, the main feature were these huge rooms. So all of these soldiers are made of clay. All of these soldiers, we've got some horses down there, some cavalry. All of these soldiers have different features, different faces, different bodies. It's kind of amazing. Let's take a close-up look. So you can see, even though they are wearing the same kind, so these men are wearing like a scarf looking kind of thing. These men back here are not. They have similar faces, but they are all different. Let's find another one. Just so very many. We see a different face from before. All of these men have different faces. Now remember, there were over 8,000 different sculptures. It's just absolutely massive. So if you want, you're more than welcome to pause the video and to continue Googling. But we are now, hold on, there was one last cool one. Look at that, on the horses. How cool. Okay, back to our work. So now we are going to do a claim evidence reasoning like we have done many times before. Follow along with me as we read the objective. I can develop a claim that takes a side in an argument. I can develop clear reasoning to support my argument for each piece of evidence used. For your directions, all of your responses should be in complete sentences. Friends, you are in middle school. We shouldn't have to keep telling you this, right? Okay. You are writing a claim based on the Terracotta Army. Your claim must be about the Terracotta Army and must be supported by evidence and reasoning. So the way that this is different this time, different from anything we've done before, is every time in the past we have given you a question to answer. Here, we are not giving you a question to answer, okay? So there are 2 ways that you can approach this. You can either give me an opinion that can be argued, because remember, your claim is an opinion, and any claim can be argued. So you can just straight up write an opinion that can be argued, so write your claim about anything that we read about the Terracotta Army, or if you want to kind of support yourself, you could write a question and then answer that question. Now, make it a good question. Not like we did with Mansa Musa. Was the Terracotta Army important? Well, duh. We're learning about it 2,000 years later. Of course it's important. Okay? Challenge yourself. So you need to write a clear and concise claim. After you write your claim, you are going to gather your evidence and then write your reasoning. Take a second piece of evidence and then write your second piece of reasoning. Okay? We have done this many, many times before. This should not be new. From there, this is all in the back of your paper, you're going to put it all together. Copy your claim, evidence, and reasoning from the boxes and put them into one paragraph. So, when you are copying your paragraph, a lot of people have run into this issue. When you're copying your paragraph, are you going to label it, "This is my claim"? Or just write the word claim and then exactly like it is here and then write your actual claim? Of course not. You are writing your claim. That is your first sentence. Your first piece of evidence is your second sentence. Your reasoning is first piece of reasoning is your third sentence. Your second piece of reasoning is your fourth sentence. Your second piece of evidence is your fifth sentence, sentences 6 and 7. Okay? Yes? As always, my wonderful human beings, if you have questions, if you need help, please do not hesitate to reach out to your teachers. Be good people, make good choices. Go Vikings.